Well, this is Jared with Stampede Blue, and this is your Indianapolis Colts post-game wrap. The Colts lost today in a nail-biter and a barn burner at home in overtime to the Houston Texans. The final score was 37-34. If there are any questions about how steadfast the Colts are going to be at protecting Andrew Luck, consider that the league's most formidable defensive pass rushers managed 4 sacks. Now, Jadeveon Clowney did completely wreck the offensive game plan of the Colts in the first half, and J.J. Watt is a force to be reckoned with. And yes, the Colts did give up 14 points off turnovers, which tends to be the difference in the game. And if you lose by 3, you get what I'm saying. So Andrew Luck was 40 for 62 for 464 yards and 4 touchdowns. A couple guys had some interesting impacts today. Zach Pascal, the undrafted free agent out of Old Dominion, and Chester Rogers had a big game today in the light of T.Y. Hilton going down with an injury twice in one game, which that's got to be a record. But yeah, T.Y. had 4 catches for 115 yards and really only played about half the game if you really think about it. Went down in the first quarter after he just got crunched with a suspected, maybe a broken rib, but then he came back and had a couple more catches and looked really good. Guys like Nyheim Hines really showed out today. He had 9 catches for 63 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Eric Ebron even had 5 catches for 30 yards and a touch. And the Colts were really close to coming all the way back from a catastrophic start, right? Anytime you let the defense score, or really anytime you get pinned deep on a punt, right? So it really starts there with not feeling that punt at the 7, which is where it bounced, I believe, either the 7 or the 5, and then letting it roll to the 1 was your primary problem. And then it just so happened, it looked like Ryan Kelly just didn't have quite a grip on the ball that he wanted there when he snapped it. It was just real low. It was only about 6 inches off the ground. And Luck just couldn't scoop it up and make a play with the ball, and that's why the Colts let the defense score. Jadeveon Clowney recovered the fumble, and the Colts were set back early, but they came all the way back. They were at one point down 28-10 and came all the way back to force overtime. Questionable play calling there at the very end of the game. You got to wonder why 4th and 4 on the 49. First of all, Andrew Luck had made his living the entire game passing the ball to his receivers because just like the Colts, the Texans don't have any good corners either. Jonathan Joseph is washed up. And if you just look at the Colts receivers' output today, it kind of shows. Houston Texans secondary can't guard anybody, which is really sad because they have J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, but they're relying on those 2 guys to basically control everything. It'd be interesting to see what the Colts do here. We really need Anthony Costanzo back. We need guys like Jack Doyle and Marlon Mack back. Jordan Wilkins, while I love him as a player, not terribly efficient runner, and the Colts failed to run the ball today again. Something like 18 carries to 40 yards, nothing incredible. And then we're so bad defensively when it really came down to it. Only forcing a couple turnovers, having your own turnovers and not scoring off them. Really, every phase of the game, the Colts look like they got beat today. Kiki Cutie, a new, young wide receiver, kind of stepped in the absence of Will Fuller and tore the Colts secondary up. He had something like 10 catches on 15 targets or something, and made a lot of impact plays. And then DeAndre Hopkins is just basically unguardable, and even when you put a guy on him, he catches it anyway, with the exception of that ball in the end zone that I thought he should have caught. For some reason, he let go, maybe briefly lost consciousness. But obviously, injuries are a factor, and anytime your team is down big and you don't feel like you're out of the game, that should tell you something about the team. Rookie linebacker Darius Leonard had 13 tackles again today. I'm sure he'll maintain the lead as the leading tackler in the NFL. Anthony Walker Jr., the guy that plays right next to Darius Leonard, also had a big game today. And then guys like Clayton Gathers, you felt like he was there a bunch. Matthias Farley also, he was there. And then to see guys like Danico Autry get 2 sacks. Marcus Hunt got a sack today. The Colts had 7 sacks on Deshaun Watson, who's arguably the most athletic quarterback in the NFL, right? At least starting, right? So the Colts defense can play. They couldn't cover because everybody was hurt, right? You had like a starting corner out, and then the second and third corners go down. And even though Pierre Desir had an interception, he's still not a top-level corner, as evidenced by the dominance of DeAndre Hopkins and the emergence of Kiki Cutie, right? We couldn't cover anyone. But the Colts really did effectively shut down the run game, but the pass defense was so bad that it didn't matter anyway for either side of the ball. The Colts basically abandoned the run until they had the ability to do that late in the fourth quarter. They tried to use the run a little bit to kill some clock. But yeah, if the Colts aren't able to efficiently run the football and can't keep from committing like the dumb mistakes that cost you points, right? Like in the end of the game there, I understand that playing for a tie is bad. A lot of people do not want to hear somebody say you play for a tie. But in that specific example, I'm not necessarily playing for a tie. I just don't want to give Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins a short field, because then it only takes one ball to get them in a scoring position, right? So when you have the ball in like your own 48 and it's 4th and 4, you should punt that football with 27 seconds left and force them to make plays to beat you. I understand that could result in a tie, but think about what if the Colts get it together and decide to cover someone and make a play on that ball and get a turnover and we win, right? As opposed to giving them the ball basically midfield as a result of an incomplete pass, which looked like a forced ball too. So it was even, in my mind, like bad play design, right? If the guy's covered and you're going at him anyway, what are we doing? Especially when Andrew Luck's completing 75% of his passes and almost throwing for 500 yards. Against, again, not the brightest secondary that we'll see. The Colts keep losing games that they could win. And it comes because of things like your offensive line not being very good. And you pose no threat to run the football at all. At one point in the game when the Colts are coming back, I was kind of laughing to myself that, if this were Space Jam, the rules would be that, like, the Texans can't have Whitney Merciless and Jadeveon Clowney and J.J. Watt on the same team. They shouldn't be allowed to be on the same team. And then, of course, like, you have Watt, Clowney, and Merciless. We have Andrew Luck. And it almost was one of those things where it was like, no matter if you are sacking the quarterback and recovering a fumble in the end zone and scoring 14 points off turnovers, the Colts almost won that football game. So it's easy to get disheartened, right, because we didn't win the game. But it's important to look at this in retrospect, right? Look at the Painter times or the Brissett times where we're not going to be anywhere close in this game. We're not going to be competitive. The Colts are arguably a couple players, maybe 3 players away from being a really competitive, potentially on both sides of the football. We need everyone to get healthy, and for that, we hope that guys like T.Y. comes back healthy, that Jack Doyle, Anthony Costanzo, and Marlon Mack all come back healthy. But it was nice to see the Colts have some guys step up, particularly the 2 undrafted free agent wide receivers in Chester Rogers and Zach Pascal. Just came from the bench, basically. T.Y. went down, and these 2 guys came in, and, they're, again, another solid showing out of Ryan Grant. So Colts have everything but the wins at this point. I think we've kind of proven that there's no question Andrew Luck's arm is fine, or that he isn't a brilliant quarterback. There was one play today where I felt like he held onto the ball and threw it when he should have just run. That was that ball to Ebron. That was a drop. But other than that, man, the Colts are right there. They're on the cusp of being a real good football team. Just got to put it all together. So that's going to be it for me. The Colts have the Patriots next week on Thursday night in New England. That's going to be a tough game to win. But if anybody's got the weapons to do it, and the coach to do it, and the quarterback to do it, man, it's the Colts, right? If anybody's going to derail Tom Brady and the Patriots, it's going to be the Colts, specifically with this pass rush, which looks to be pretty good. 7 sacks today, and being like top 5 in sacks as a defense going into the week probably puts us up there. And it's guys, like I said, it's Chris Ballard looking like a money machine, right? Like playing money ball, right? Danico Autry getting sacks, Marcus Hunt getting sacks, Darius Leonard just being a machine. So the Colts got some pieces, just need to get healthy. And some of these games that you shouldn't lose that game. You shouldn't have ever been in the position to lose that game, and we'll kind of see what happens. You got a short turnover. You hope to see some guys get back and get healthy and get up for what is supposed to be a big game, right? The Colts Patriots rivalry is supposed to be back on. And I for one am tired of losing to the Patriots, right? I'm tired of losing to the Patriots. I want to see the Colts dominate a football game on both sides, and I want it to be against the Patriots, really. You know, I would have loved to see the Colts win today, but I want the Colts to win in New England on Thursday. That needs to happen. This is Jared with Stampede Blue. This is your Indianapolis Colts postgame wrap. We'll see you next week.